Thumbs up if you can hear me.
Yep.
Brilliant. Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for your time this evening. My name's Henry and I will be the host, I suppose, of this particular event. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we start, thank you very much to the good people at Hamaink for letting us have their space in which to do this. Very briefly, I work with a charity known as British Armenian Humanitarian Group. A little bit about the group itself is that it was established shortly after the outbreak of the war in 2020 and has been primarily there to, it's been primarily a group looking out for the looking out for prisoners of war. That was the group's main focus back in the end of 2020. And it's still very much a main focus of the group. But obviously as things evolve and change, as the political field sort of transforms, we've shifted our aims, but the main focus has always been about the humanitarian side. British Armenia is not a political group, it's not a religious group. We are entirely focused on the humanitarian aspect, which brings us to our event this evening, our fundraising event for the refugees coming from Artsakh. So that is a little bit about us. I shan't bore anyone else with this introduction, so I think we should just move on to the first segment of the evening. So.
Thank you very much. So we have chosen two charities here. One very large charity, international organization, AGBU, everyone knows and you don't need introduction. And the second is a smaller local NGO. It's called Transparent Armenia. So it's interesting to compare and to see what these two type of charities are doing in this situation. And they are doing amazing work. The main purpose of our reunion is to raise awareness about the volunteers, these amazing young people who have left the comfort of the Western life and they have moved to Armenia and live in very precarious conditions, often without basic necessities, but they are extremely happy to be helpful and to be contributing to this enormous humanitarian crisis that has emerged after 19 September. So the first, we will talk to the charity called Transparent Armenia, Arnush Martirosyan and Hamaink Gazaryan in the left corner. The question, so I understand Arnush is from Armenia and Hamaink is from Canada. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'll leave them the platform. Welcome, Arnush and Hamaink. Please present your charity and your work you are doing with young volunteers, please.
Arnush.
Բարի երեկո նախ, ողջունում եմ բոլորիդ, ուրախ եմ ես կազմակերպելու համար, շատ հաճելի է ու շատ գովելի այս միջոցառումները, որ կազմակերպվում է աշխարհի տարբեր ծայրերում եւ այդ օգնությունը, որ եւ այդ ողջավորվածությունը, որ դրսից է գալիս, մեզ ավելի շատ ուժ է տալիս, որ մենք այստեղ ավելի շատ բան կարողանանք անել, ինչի համար շատ շնորհակալ ենք եւ շնորհակալ ենք մեզ հրավիրելու, միասին անցկացնելու այս երեկոյին։
If I can interpret for the people who don't speak Armenian, is that correct?
I'm gonna say mostly the same, but yeah. So Anush is just saying how grateful she is for everyone from outside of Armenia, especially that get involved and that want to participate in this mission, basically. And she's also grateful for inviting us to speak today as well, to participate today. Anush, everyone's messages.
Давай.
Yeah. All right. So since So my name is Haik. I'm a co-founder of Transparent Armenia. Anush joined very quickly after we started our work. And the reason we started our work is because actually I'm from Canada and the Armenian military didn't let me participate. On the second day I was already in Armenia for a while and I wanted to participate and they didn't let me because I wasn't a resident, I don't have an Armenian passport. They kind of made a joke saying, how do we know you're not a very spy? And they said instead, go do some fundraising. And having spent 25 years of my life in Canada, I was born in Armenia, but having spent 25 years in Canada, I had enough Armenian friends in Canada, just friends too, and I made a post about, hey, if there's people out there who trust me, who know me, who want to help some people, I have an account in Canada, you can send some money there, I'll pull it out, I'll show what I spent it on, who I spent it on, and and I didn't really expect it to become this big. Anush had a lot to do with the actual, the helping people part, so she's more the face of, the refugees that come get aid recognize Anush more than they would me, for example. But I have been, my whole point was that it has to be transparent. And to the point where even the enemy can come to our website and see what, where we received money from and where it's been spent on. And the idea behind it was that to leave really no chance for anyone to say that it's not transparent. And I guess the best example I can give is that my mother, she's also, you can consider her a refugee in the sense that she lost her apartment in Shushi. She'd been living there for a long time. And so she was in Canada working when the war started in 2020, and she lost her apartment and everything in there. And so she's a refugee, and she also, she hasn't received aid from this organization, even though her son was a co-founder. She also has to go through the same process as everyone else. And so this was very, very important for me. And even if, somebody donates some money and says, oh, by the way, there's this family there that needs some help, okay, great, but it still has to go through a process. And I won't bore you with the details, of all the information is on our website, transparentarmenia.foundation. So being small, I've worked with AGBU before on other things. One of them was trying to get recycling going in Armenia. But as a small organization, all we have is principles that we work with, and so we've done everything for the past 3 years to keep that intact. And our goal is we start with this emergency stuff, so food, hygiene products, clothes, these kinds of things. But the more time goes by, the more we try to go towards sustainable, self-sustainable projects, which again, if you guys have questions, I can answer. I just don't want to take too much time here. Well, thanks again for inviting us. And if there are any questions, once everybody's introduced themselves, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. Anush, ուրեմն դուք երբ որ սկսվեց այս փախստականների ոսկը, կարող եք պատմել, ինչպես էս բանը վրանը դրեցիք, Երևանի կենտրոնում կարծեմ, եւ այդտեղից սկսեցիք օգնություն հավաքել։ Կարող եք ասել, ոնց էս ձեր աշխատանքը ինչպես էսպես թափ արավ։ I'm asking her how she set up the tent. There is a famous tent, like a circus, size of a circus, in the center of Yerevan, and they started from very little, and now they provide aid to thousands of refugees.
Նախ սկսեցինք 2020 թվականից, երբ ուղղակի մենք ենք փնտրում, թե ովքեր են եկել Երևան կամ Հայաստան ընդհանրապես, ու մենք փաթեթներ էինք պատրաստում Հայկի հետ ու ինքներս կամավորների միջոցով հենց տանում արձառն փոխանցում իրենց։ Բայց հետո հասկացան, որ կարիքը շատանում է ու անընդհատ հարցումներ են լինում, իրենք են արդեն մեզ փնտրում, որպեսզի էլի իրենց էլ օգնեն ու այս դեպքում արդեն ստացվեց, որ օրական կարողանում ենք մինչև 200 ընտանիքի օգնություն տալ, իսկ սկզբնական սկսել էինք իմ ծնողների բակում ու եղանակն էլ դեռ լավ էր, կարողանում ենք բակում բակի հավաքել, գնումները բերել, դասավորել, բայց հետո արդեն երբ որ շատացավ անհրաժեշտությունը, ստիպված եղանք նոր տարածք փնտրելու։ Ուզես այսքանը թարգմանես։
Շնորհակալ։ So when we first started, it was in 2020. It was basically me, Anush's husband, and then Anush was my friend. So we're like, hey, some people sent money, so let's go buy some stuff, take it to the refugees, and we were looking for them. This was in 2020. But as the ball kept rolling, and a lot of people liked this idea of like full transparency, we first started in Anush's backyard, parents' backyard, and we had like 5-6 volunteers. It was really just right at the beginning of the war, and eventually, because we needed much more space, we upgraded all the way to being like really in the center. Karlov, there was this restaurant. They gave us space to put clothes because we received around. I remember the tonnage, but it was 2 truckloads, like 18-wheelers full of winter clothes from Sweden, from a demand for action. And we found this spot that was for sale. It was empty, and they let us like use it for a few months. And it was like, at some point, there was like 600 people showing up every day to pick clothes. Now we started in 2020 in Marietta, Anushjan. We started. Yeah, so the 2023 we started out, we were really lucky. Marriott Armenia gave us one of their halls to start from. We moved because we like liquidate everything that we get relatively quick, so we're able to move from space to space. Now the last space that we've been in is this circus, and Anush has Anush once at Vanet Kentroniet Palatkin once starts with
Ուղղակի հարցում արեցինք, թե որտեղ անվճար տարածք, իմ ընկերներից մեկը տարածքը իմ ընկերներից մեկին նա ինքը տվեց, բայց դե բացի դրանից նաև պահել ունենք մենք։
Oh yeah, we also have stores. So we have storage space, and we have a point from which we like give out the aid. We also take it to some municipalities, villages. We visited a bunch of villages. Shushan knows more than I do because she was there most of the time. Shushan's in the side. But Anush is very good. She's very good with logistics. She's been in the Horeca business in Armenia for a very long time. So she has a lot of connections in different places. One of these things lets us get very many discounts on like food and things like that. So Anush has been killing it with that, and she's like, she has a lot of connections in different places, and friends of friends. Hey, I'm not using the space. Come guys, you can use it because you're doing a nice thing. So it kind of just like evolves as time goes by.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So, I understand that it's not only transparent, but it's also, you have cut the middleman, it's very lean, the money coming from abroad is not wasted at all on the logistics, the big organizations.
No more than 20%, so usually much less, but no more than 20% goes towards, getting gas for the truck of the person who volunteered his truck, like not pay the full amount. Let's say it would have cost 200,000 dirham to take like A to a point B. No, it ends up costing maybe 60 because you just put the gas or you put these are the kinds of things that we're able to do to diminish the administrative costs, but you can't really like get rid of them completely.
Thank you very much. We move on to Michelle from New York. Thank you very much for joining us, Michelle. AGBU doesn't need introduction. You are everywhere. You have your hands in every pie. However, I would like you to talk about this meals program that you have started, and I understand from Shushan it's stopped now. Could you tell me what you have done so far for refugees, and what is
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
the next step as well? Thank you.
Sure. So, since AGB is no introduction, I will not waste any time on one, but I first wanted to thank British Armenian and Hamaink for having me here on behalf of AGBU. And it's so nice to see such a group of faces that is interested and dedicated to spreading awareness and helping this cause. So AGBU's main focus right now, as you can imagine, is assisting the forcibly displaced Armenians from Artsakh. We've been providing on-the-ground emergency relief since day one. We mobilized on September 20th, I want to say, immediately after the attack. And our main relief services are provided through a partnership with World Central Kitchen, which I'm sure you've also heard of, that is all over the world. So up to this point in the past month, we have provided more than 3,000 fresh and nutritious meals. Those were hot meals prepared by chefs and volunteers, or a chef and many volunteers. And those were distributed, I believe Francesca from your group was one of our volunteers, which we're so thankful for. They distributed these meals, they had a list, and it got sent out to the villages based on need, and it was adjusted every single day. The beauty of working with World Central Kitchen is that they handled all the logistical aspects, and they have that down to an art. And then AGBU and our connections, especially with the local community, was extremely helpful in determining exactly what assistance was needed, how much, and we wanted it to comfort the beneficiaries as well, not just to make sure that they're not hungry, but there were surveys done on, do you like this food? Because Artsakhis have a different palate than those in Armenia, so there was a lot of integration with the refugees and taking their needs very much into account. They actually were helping in the kitchen. They were paid to assist with the food preparation. And now
Finished now on the 31st.
Correct. So yes, so hot meals is finished, and now we've transitioned to distributing food boxes with raw ingredients in them. Based on feedback from the refugees themselves, they said they preferred cooking for their families. They wanted to start making their temporary houses feel like home. So now we will be serving 56,000 individuals these food boxes twice throughout this month, and hopefully that will continue onward past November. Besides World Central Kitchen, AGBU is also focused on two other main topics, which is health and jobs. Free medical services are being offered through our medical polyclinic in Yerevan. It can service a wide range of medical needs, has pediatric care, social support for adults and children. And then we also have very intensive skill training courses to ensure the long-term independence of these people that have to rebuild their lives from nothing, essentially. So that is meant to fast-track their path to employment, providing employer-employee matching opportunities, access to career fairs, mentorships, and anything else they might need for employee readiness. Which brings me to how our volunteers can be helpful. For anybody that's interested in helping out with these efforts, AGBU has several volunteer options. If you're able to donate your time in person, that is, of course, extremely impactful. You can help AGBU and the World Central Kitchen volunteers with this food distribution program. And we wouldn't be able to help those who need it most without the incredible group that's on the ground. We just actually had one volunteer come back and present at the AGBU office yesterday, and he was there for 3 weeks, and we were all in tears listening to his stories. It made me want to jump on a plane right now and go there. But I know virtual options are likely more feasible for most people, but they are no less impactful, of course. We have a business mentors program where you are paired with a female mentee from our HBU Empower Her initiative. You'll help provide guidance throughout her entrepreneurial journey as she strives for financial independence. Then we have the virtual ANI program, where you get matched with another one of our beneficiaries to help them practice their English, which everyone knows is very important for global business ventures these days. But if you want to learn anything more about these mentorship type programs, you can email volunteer@hbu.org. And of course, all of these initiatives and programs are donor driven, so if you'd like to support our services in that way, you can do so on the hbu.org website. And we're proud to say that 100% of proceeds from the HBU Global Relief Fund go directly to the beneficiaries. It's not used for overhead costs or, get excited into other programs. If you're donating to the HBU Global Relief Program, you can know 100% of your dollars or pounds are going to the beneficiaries.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, I have a question, but I don't know if we should ask now.
We later. Thank you very much, Michelle. Thank you very much. We have here 4 volunteers who have very.
Sí, voy a interpretar al inglés, así que si querés decir lo que vas a decir un segmento y parás y yo traduzco.
Dale. Bueno, me presento, o sea, ¿sigo el orden que me había mandado las preguntas o lo hago más charlado?
Como vos quieras. You sent her some questions. Shall she follow the order of questions?
No, just present herself. How
Primero,
she is, why she's in
si te
Armenia.
podés presentar, cuántos años tenés, por qué estás en Armenia y bueno, empezamos de ahí.
Bueno, puedo intentar leer en inglés y última asignatura continúo con español.
Dale. I'll try to speak English. If I get stuck, then I'll carry on in Spanish.
So, hi everybody. I come here to Armenia for another IGBU program. I dance in IGBU Córdoba in my city. So I have a scholarship for a program, a musical Armenian program, like a dancer. So I come here in June, and now I stay here for other program, like a volunteer. That's it. I'm 26 years old. I study accountant in Argentina, and I work like accountant. Yes, please.
Where were you when the refugees started coming from Artsakh to Armenia? What was your first reaction?
Cuando empezaron a venir los refugiados de Artsakh a Armenia, ¿dónde estabas? ¿Qué estabas haciendo? ¿Y cuál fue tu reacción?
Yeah, my first day really when I learned the news, because for Instagram I follow different diarios. Sigo leyendo diarios, no sé en inglés.
Daily newspaper. ¿Sí?
Yes, I follow different news, different information for the diaspora, like Armenian in the diaspora, Armenian in Uruguay or Buenos Aires or Córdoba, my city. So I start read about the war, like the bombardeos in Artsakh. So I don't understand nothing, because here in Armenia nobody speak about this, and I'm here, and everybody in the world, in the diaspora, know this news except us. So my first reaction is call to my other friend Argentina here and speak about this, because we don't understand. So at this day at the 6 p.m. we have we had a meeting and for explain us all the situation. So really my first reaction for my mom reaction was like que prepare toda mi valija y que tenga el pasaporte en la mano.
Pack your bags, have your passport in your pocket, ready to leave.
Really. Told me, you don't be a military, Karine, please don't go to Artsakh. They, okay, I can go, but my family and my IGBU in Córdoba always lead me about help for other people. So I'm not a military woman, but I'm a helping woman. So I obviously think about help the people when the people come here. And I don't understand nothing, because for 3 days in Armenia we don't have news about the refugees. So when the refugees, when the border opened and the refugees can't come here, sorry for my bad English, and when the people come here, obviously, me, Shoshan, and other volunteers say, okay, we need to do something, and we speak about all the programs, about our friends or our families, or for the people Armenians here, if know about one program or one thing, where the people help the other people from Artsakh, because everybody won't go to Goris, the first city when the people come, but it's not possible because in Goris all the hotel, hostels, and Airbnb and houses, all is for the Artsakh people, not for the volunteers. So okay, I can't wait for it here in Yerevan and say, okay, only wait and what we can do here in Yerevan. In exactly this day, I know about Transparent, the Marriott volunteer, because the Marriott give us the place for the volunteer. So this day I meet Anush and meet Hype, and we start with the food for the people. So my first reaction obviously is help, and help like Maria's situation, you know, because it's more easy to say, okay, I won't go to Artsakh and fight in the war, but this is not all possibilities. But we help, nosotros ayudamos desde nuestro lugar, desde lo que podemos hacer.
We did what everyone does, whatever they can, from the, depending who they are. Yeah,
Thank you.
muy bien, gracias.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Let's
so
move on.
I start here, and after I start in the IGBU program, the meeting, the cook and this stuff. And yes, I go 2 or 3 days for the week for one place or the other place, but always I organize my job with my volunteers job. It's like, yes, like a mix.
How long are you staying in Armenia? ¿Cuánto más tiempo te vas a quedar en Armenia?
1 month more, 6th of December, I come back to Argentina.
Okay, thank you very much.
Vamos a pasar a los otros. Let's move on to
Let's move
the
on
other
to
volunteers.
Gabriel. Gabriel is from America, I understand. Yes?
I'm actually not from Canada. From Montreal.
Canada as well. Okay. Would you share your experience? Where were you when the military aggression started, and where were you when the first refugees started to move into Armenia?
Yeah, I was in Yerevan. I was working just like an ordinary day in my volunteering workplace, and I started seeing some news, some reports, and it was very unnerving seeing that, all this is happening. I'm used to seeing reports, things like this every now and then, but now being only 200 kilometers away from it actually happening, and seeing the scale of what was happening was very, very eerie, and it was a very tough time. It was hard to focus on really anything else. It wasn't getting any work done, so it was like glued from one fight to the other, one Twitter page to the other, just seeing what was going on, and it was hard to see what was happening. And then once there was news of the first people starting to leave Artsakh, refugees flooding the borders, then I was starting to hear from many places, many different organizations, foundations, that there was a lot of need for people to just hands to help out. Goris, Korizor. So yeah, I kind of felt stuck not doing anything there. So yeah, like everyone else here, we were like desperately looking for some way to do something productive. So the next day I went with another group of 12 people to Korizor. We spent the day there just seeing what was needed. There was a lot of just impromptu attempts. There was a couple, there was like the Red Cross and some organizations. There were also just people that just came on their own will and just started setting up tents and stations to prepare meals and basic necessities to hand out to people who had been waiting in line. to cross the border for 20 to 30 hours. So we helped out there a little bit, and yeah, it's hard to describe, but what you're seeing is crazy, because you don't picture seeing something like that in front of your eyes. Yeah, looking back, it's all kind of really blurry. It went out very fast because most of the time you're just focusing on completing your sort of repetitive task that you're doing. You're cutting the bread or whatever it is you're doing, and then you look up and you realize what's going on. So we went to Gois after that. We were working with another organization called All for Armenia, and they had set up a tent in Goris too for people who would come, and they went to sign up and register in one of the buildings, and meanwhile while they're waiting to get moved from another city or going to van to somewhere else out of Goris, providing some basic food, drinks, the stations for clothing, and I spent just a couple of days there. I think our group that went mostly focusing on the night shifts, because that was what was needed the most there. But honestly, the beginning was tough seeing what was going on, but just seeing the amount of help that was coming from everywhere, from like all sorts of different people from all sorts of places. There are people that have flown in from other countries, from like France or any other country. There was a couple that had just got married a month ago or something, and they were on their honeymoon, and I just like they canceled the plans and just came and were working night shifts there in Gois. It was crazy. And then also the school children. There was a bunch of boys and girls who were like they were the ones running the show. Like they were working like crazy. And just seeing how much people were coming together, and I think a lot of solidarity between people, and that's what made it like what helped keep you going along and going to the work.
Gabriel.
Going to the work.
Gabriel, sorry to interrupt you. How many months you have been in Armenia, and are you going back now to your home or to your hometown or?
So it's almost 3 months now. I've been in Armenia, and as of now, there's no return date because I wasn't expecting it, but I got a job here, so I just decided to take the opportunity and see if it's feasible to stay long term, and if it is, that's going to be my plan. So as of now, I'm just testing the waters and seeing how it will be. So I don't know, I'm kind of settling in here.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good luck with your job. Thank you very much. Good luck with your job. We have Nairi here from Manchester. She has just returned from Armenia. She has been volunteering for several months. Could you tell us, Nairi, do you have experience working both for Transparent Armenia?
No, not with these two charities. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And could you
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And could you tell us where were you when this started? You are only 21?
I'm 22, yeah.
And you were there with Birthright program when the attack and the refugees started flooding in. So
Yeah, so on the 19th, I was just out. It was lunchtime, and someone came into the cafe and just told us the news of what was happening, and then left again. And then, yeah, from that point on, it felt very surreal. I think everyone kind of stopped in their tracks and had to, drop what they were doing, and just thought, what next? Very similar situation to Gabrielle. Like, I was, as you mentioned, with the Birthright program, but the work I was doing didn't really feel that it was kind of relevant at this point. So on the 26th, which was a Tuesday, I decided to go to Goris, which again was a decision that
myself and other volunteers who decided to come as well had to sit on for a while, because going there we knew we had to take our own initiative. There was no guarantee there was anywhere for us to stay. Obviously the priority was the refugees being sheltered. So yeah, we went and focused on the night shifts. And yeah, very similar situation, stayed for a few days. And yeah, just, I can't stress the importance of of many people being there, not just volunteers from the diaspora, but from the locals as well. I'd say it was very much organised chaos, but if we didn't have that manpower, people would have been burnt out so easily. It was so important to take shifts. You know, it was important as well to have people who were able to think quickly on their feet. People were coming, and as you can imagine, 3 days non-stop, people coming in the middle of the night, hungry, don't know where to go, their whole life has been reorientated. They need to know where to go next, where they can get food, where they can get clothes. It was freezing. So yeah, like, I can, if people are there now in London are thinking if it's worth going, then 100%. I know I was also with All for Armenia, and I know they're now working on the next phase of their aid distribution, because now obviously all the refugees are through from Artsakh. So they're working now mostly with families in Goris, again, distributing medical aid, clothes, etc. So just be prepared. I think if you want to come out to Armenia, that you're going to have to take initiative and be a bit self-sufficient, but 100% worth it. And yeah, you meet some fantastic like-minded people. And yeah.
And you have made very solid friendships.
Yeah.
And you have made very solid friendships, right? You have grown together, bonded together. It's
yeah, nothing like you would get in the UK. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Nadijan. And the last, Shushan. Hi, Shushanik. You went for a very different program to have a quiet life at American University of Armenia, and
yeah, hi everyone. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everyone that has come and contributed. Հատկապես Անուշի եւ Հայկը, որովհետեւ հիմա արդեն ժամը 12-ից անցել է Հայերանում. So thank you so much. Yeah, I'm like the others here. I'm with Birthright. I came just a few weeks before the attack, actually, and I was in Yerevan at the time. I definitely resonate with what Gabriel and Heidi said regarding, you know, how the news came about. It was very scary initially with the protests going on. No one really knew what was happening for the longest time. But I felt the same as, you know, as Karina, Heidi and Gabriel said, that the regular job sites didn't really seem too relevant or too important in that particular moment. So I wanted to get involved as much as possible. Actually, the first sort of direct aid that I got involved with was a Giving Friday, an AGBU Giving Friday, and Karina and I did that together. And actually, we helped refugees that came in 2020. So I think we went to Ashtarak for that. And we spoke to them, and as you can imagine, many of them had friends and family who were still in Artsakh, and they were very, very stressed. It was, yeah, quite distressing, quite a emotional introduction to refugees. The following week, I got involved with Transparent Armenia, which was great, you know, packaging food and clothing, and helping Transparent Armenia with distribution to local towns and villages. I spent a whirlwind of the 24 hours in Goris with Henry in London, and that was an incredible experience. It was short-lived, but I'm glad I went. I applaud Nadia and Gabriel for being there for so many days, because it was exhausting, even though I was only there for a short time. No sleep. It was actually freezing cold. The conditions were not good, but it was great to see how everyone came together, as those two mentioned. Especially all of the local kids. It was really, really heartwarming to see how quickly and efficiently they were working, and it was amazing to see everyone coming together. And so since then I've been, like Galina as well, I've been splitting my time between Transparent Armenia and also AGBU. So with AGBU for the past couple of weeks, I've been getting involved with the AGBU World Central Kitchen project, namely because I speak Armenian. I've been helping with the deliveries of the hot meals, which has been great because we've been going to nearby towns and villages with these hot meals. Often it will be a delivery of, up to 500 meals in one go. You do a few drops. Sometimes you meet the families directly. Sometimes you'll drop them off at local town halls or village halls. And so that way you can interact with refugees directly, as we do also with Transparent Armenia, which has been a really emotional but also eye-opening experience, definitely, being able to directly talk with these people who've gone through unimaginable things. Yeah, so both difficult and extremely rewarding.
Before I ask you,
Before
I ask you to tell us one emotional incident and one happy incident that happened with refugees.
Many very difficult experiences. Recently, with Transparent Armenia, with Anush, we went out to see 4 different families. So perhaps maybe Anush could tell us a little bit more about that, because usually with Transparent Armenia, we'll go to different towns and distribute hundreds of boxes of dry food, as Haik and Anush already said. And this will be, a box of dry food that will last a particular family, let's say 10 days. The other day, instead, they chose 4 different families in I think, and instead of buying 10 days worth of food, we bought a month's worth of dry food for these families, as well as hygiene products, toys for kids, Pampers as well, and these kinds of things. And then we went and visited those families, gave them the supplies, spoke with them, talked about their ongoing needs as well. Maybe Anush or Haik can go into a bit more detail, but in terms of how they picked those individual families. But that was quite a harrowing experience, I would say, because we sat down for maybe half an hour or even longer with each of these families to talk about their experiences, where they had come from, how they got out, and all of this. Yeah. Maybe you can
we don't want to go into detail, I think, because we don't have time. But also there were some happy incidents, everyone, because I heard that these refugees are offering you coffee and drinks when you get there, and it's very moving, it's very human. They are really, really nice people in a very, very lamentable situation, and that's heartwarming and gives you hope, I guess, to all of you. So what you do is extremely, extremely important. I want to ask one last question to AGBU and Transparent Armenia. You have 4 ambassadors here already, and there are thousands more. How can we get to a level that, like Israel, we have like when we have critical situations like this, we have volunteers from diaspora by tens and thousands flooding into Armenia. This is what we want to see, right? We want to see tens and thousands of young Armenians going to Armenia. What, Michelle, would you say? How you AGBU sees this tackling this challenge?
We're still working on figuring that out. Hopefully someone will, other nations have been using, but I think we just need to, especially the younger generations, just need to keep talking about it with their friends. It's difficult to face it head on, but it's so much more cathartic to discuss it and actually joy to help. And I like to remind people that like they're doing themselves a favor when they volunteer. You feel good at the end of the day too. So I would say just having the younger generations make it more on their radar. That would be my suggestion.
Hamaink, what would you say? As an Armenian from Canada.
The moment you asked the question, it cut off. I'm trying to recreate it based on the answer we just heard. What was exactly the question? How to get more volunteers to come to Armenia?
How can we motivate, how we can encourage more young Armenians from the diaspora volunteering like this for young people on the screen?
I personally, I hadn't, I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but personally, I haven't volunteered much before this war, the 2020 war, personally myself. I think that the thing that will motivate volunteers to come to Armenia most would be for them to feel and to believe that they're getting a lot for their time. Time is a valuable thing. If somebody is deciding to volunteer their time, there needs to be, if it's called volunteering because there's no financial incentive maybe, but there has to be other incentives for someone to want to volunteer. So yes, there's a lot of people with a lot of empathy that are going to volunteer, and they're going to get that life experience of getting a perspective on poverty, getting a perspective on being a refugee, getting a perspective from someone who's been through war or who's seen their friends and family die. For someone's life, it's important to not be, just locked in what you were born in or the privileges that you were born. So there's that value, but also in terms of learning new. Just gaining knowledge that will later translate into, making a living and being able to be a constructive part of our system that we live in, constructive member. So I personally, when we have volunteers, I really like to try to get them to be, but we have limited resources. Like as a small, as you said, small charity, we have limited resources, so you can't really just teach things that are going to be super useful later on. So for now, it's a lot of these repetitive work that's happening. But to get more volunteers to come to Armenia, you have to give them something really strong in return beyond just all these emotions. I don't know if maybe I'm rambling, but that's my best idea.
Henry, you wanted to talk about your experiences?
My experiences?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a minute or two. My experience is pretty much identical to Shushan's experience because we both travelled up and returned at exactly the same time. So yeah, chaotic is definitely one word to describe it. And I can't remember who mentioned, I think it was Gabriel mentioned the army of, who mentioned the army of children that were there? Yeah, And they really know their stuff. It kind of made us actually slightly obsolete because we were working the food and drink tent, and it just got to a point where out of these 3 tents there was too many people there, which was good. It was good to have too many people there. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, helpless. Just lots of 12, 13, 14-year-olds running around making sandwiches, cutting bread, I was very happy to just be told what to do by these guys because they knew what they were doing. They'd been there for days, doing all working till late, getting there till the morning. But what struck me as very odd is that we, after a few hours, we decided to go and get some food from somewhere else. And what I was struck by actually that was very shocking, that I really noticed more than anything, was that as we sort of walked around and we found sort of the main town, I suppose, the beyond the other side of it. And what struck me was that life carried on as normal. You wouldn't guess from standing in this one spot, after we went through this archway and we were sort of down the main high street, you wouldn't have any idea if you were just put there that there was a refugee crisis going on. It was very surreal and very juxtaposing, I think is the word. I might just be making up words. And that was that was probably the most sort of
unfair, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's unfair.
It just seemed, yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, just, you have no idea. I don't know quite how to feel about it. I guess there's all kinds of, like you said, life goes on and things, but at the same time, it's like, it was shocking to some degree. I think that was the thing that really affected me most, actually, seeing people in their hours of need and things like that. I think we were all too busy to really pay attention to things like that. And everybody, I think, the refugees themselves were, I think, just in a state of shock and exhaustion, to even express any kind of emotion about it. I mean, we've seen images of, crying Tatiks and families, looking visibly upset, and yes, that was there, but from my experience, I didn't see any of that. People are just stunned, hungry, tired, wet, cold, they just want stuff. And, like I said, we were just working and working as hard as we could at the time that we were there. So,
I think you came back a different person.
I don't know. I mean, I must be different. I must have changed in some ways. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I think it just depends. I mean, for me, it depends on what environment I'm in. Depends on how I am and how I react. I mean, coming back to London, I've expected to feel some kind of profound change in my outlook on life, or the way that I do things now, or my interests. But truth be told, I've not, which either means that I have a serious character defect, or maybe my time wasn't quite as profound as I wanted it to be. I don't know, to be honest, but I'm certainly grateful for the experience. Because originally, what we didn't mention was the birthright. At the time that we all weren't allowing volunteers to go. So all of us that went, that were associated with birthright, we were doing it without their consent or knowledge. Because, as said before, we just wanted to do something useful compared to our job sites at the time. We were prepared to give it all. That's all right.
We have also our friend wanted to her to share her experience. She's medical staff and you know very closely Mariana Matoni. It's very interesting, Mariana Can. You witnessed the first Red Cross reaction to the catastrophe, right? Can you describe what happened in those first days? How Red Cross or other medical associations, organizations helped the refugees?
Hello, first of all. It's really nice to see all of you here, and thank you very much for everyone who has been involved in this. And I was there in Armenia for a different reason, as Hamaink mentioned, on the medical project, my own individual project. But obviously, as soon as we heard about the situation, what happened on 19th, we heard about the offense. Working collaboratively with my colleague from Traveling Doctors, we decided to provide some humanitarian help. So we thought probably we can combine medical and humanitarian help, and we were there on the border. And we saw all the people who were passing literally right after they passed this so-called checkpoint. And we're there with the Red Cross, with the ambulance services, and I mean, it's to say, obviously, whatever was going on from the Red Cross point of view, they were doing their job, they were focused, and they knew what they were doing. I saw a lot of work was based on the volunteering basis, so lots of volunteers, and as Henry mentioned and others mentioned already, there were lots of young people, teenagers were involved in the help. So where I was, because it was the first sort of contact with those people, we didn't have much time to spend with them unless they had medical problems. And if they had medical problems, we had to attend with the Red Cross Aid was more about the ambulance services, and we helped those services to provide medical support for those people. So, I mean, it's really difficult to say because it was a bit chaotic, but at the same time, it was very strangely quiet because we didn't see. The chaos was coming more from our point of view, from us, from people who were trying to organize and do something about it, and for people who were crossing the border, it was lots of devastating quietness. So people were passing with completely lost, devastated, confused faces, empty, and it was very difficult to see. Because obviously we wanted to be, engaged and do something about it, but we didn't have even time to do that. So it was really very, very interesting emotions that personally I had, because I was on a mission and I'm used to this. I work in healthcare, I see all sorts of stuff, and I was there in 2020 for pretty much the whole time of the war near the border. So I thought I was kind of ready for this, but it's still difficult to see, understand again what is happening. Our children wouldn't even, if we were trying to make them, give some candies or something, knowing that they have been there, blockaded, not seeing this kind of stuff, and they were refusing. They almost were a bit, scared to get to that, and who would leave things there, and they would slowly approach themselves when they felt a bit more, kind of safe within around us. So yes, I think from the Red Cross point of view, I mean, yes, there was support. It was organized as much as it could have been done at that point.
Did they have enough staff, enough ambulances?
We had enough ambulances, there were enough ambulances, there was enough help to give, and we didn't see many medical problems, and the main medical problems were related to people being exhausted and dehydrated, and they would have some problems mainly related to that. Also, we've seen a lot of people who were passing with burns. Obviously, we all know about that horrendous blow that happened by at the fuel point. So it was absolutely horrible to see people who were driving, like a man in their 60s and 70s, being in that car, driving their family for 20, 30 hours with those burns, without changing those dressings. In pain, again dehydrated, which is much worse when people are have burns. It's medical, but still. That was really awful to see, and they were still refusing help because they just wanted to get to their last point and bring their families where it's they can have rest at last. So yes, we tried to almost convince the people to sit, have some painkillers at least, just do some simple dressing change to, cover their wounds with something. So there were quite a lot of burns, people with burns, which I didn't expect, because obviously you think, yes, there were a few tens maybe, but then apparently it was more than that. So obviously the numbers that were heard wasn't correct, because I personally seen tens of burns people within a day. So it's just what I've seen. So yes, unfortunately my experience wasn't, I can't say anything positive about my experience, but what I can probably mention maybe the work that everyone did, and yourselves, and those people who were that employed were the volunteers. As chaotic as it was in Corridor and also later on in Goris when I was next day. Yes, I saw the chaos, but at the same time I saw a lot of people who wanted to do something about it. I think this is good, this is positive, we are good at the time when there is a crisis. But probably what Hamaink was saying, what we can do to make it better, I guess, to find a way to provide that support, to provide that care when we're in between those random situations, because I think that's important. We sort of get used to it and we forget, whereas we have to think about it all the time, I guess, and motivate people all the time to be ready for those moments.
Just as a really quick point, actually, to follow up on a medical kind of point of view. During my work with AGBU making deliveries, most of the time the drivers have been from Artsakh themselves, which has been incredible to see, and to be able to speak to them almost every day directly has been incredible. But I've been hearing from several of these drivers that there have been lots of these kind of long-term, not just psychological, but actual physical health effects on especially older Artsakhi refugees that are coming in now, in terms of cardiovascular problems, increased rates of strokes, heart attacks, as like a delayed kind of response, and this is something which I think is talked about less and less. So yeah.
Those are things which are expected, obviously, because those strong people, they have been for many hours driving without getting their medication, and also they were in blockaded Artsakh when they probably couldn't get all those medications anyway. So it's unfortunately but pretty expected, and this is obviously another devastating part of it. So yes, you're absolutely right. So that's all those long-term conditions where it's not that they were ignored, but there was no way to maintain it in the area where you can't provide the medication. So those people, unfortunately, yes. There were lots of, in hospitals as well, there are lots of people with those chronic conditions who develop complications from that.
Thank you so much, Maya Jan. It's so emotional, all this, but it's so important that we get stronger as a nation as well, resilient, and take the positive out of it, and look for solutions, outcomes. It's enough crying, and I think we need now to grow as a nation and become adults finally. This evening was about you guys. It was about volunteers. It's about AGBU. It's about Transparent Armenia. It's about All for Armenia and hundreds of other NGOs, charities, voluntary organizations, and young, wonderful volunteers. We want to share this video with everyone and encourage, motivate the younger generation to follow your examples.